What's up, everyone? I just wanted to do a general update video and just kind of talk about the last few months of everything, training and meets and what I have coming up. To start, I want to talk about Powerlifting America Nationals, which was in March, so a few months ago. Marcellus has a really good video talking about all his athletes that competed there, including myself. And so he's going to have a much more in-depth video talking about, the plan and everything that happened on the day. So I'm just going to briefly touch on each of the lifts, how it went, just kind of my general opinion. But essentially, this was my best meet to date. PR total, 827.5 kilos, so 1825, something like that. Best total to date. PR'd my squat by 5 kilos. I ended up hitting 295 kilos, or 650 pounds. That was a number that I failed at USAPL Nationals the previous year. Benched 202.5, so I matched my best bench in a meet. I was very happy with that, to be honest, considering the fact that I messed up my second attempt, kind of misgrooved it. I'm not exactly sure what happened, lost a little bit of tension, and the lift was just harder than it had to be, so we only went up by a very small amount because we were in a close battle. But I definitely could have benched what I wanted to bench. I probably could have chipped the bench record, the American record at the time, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to take that third attempt like I wanted to, but I know that I had the strength for it. Ben showed up on the day. It was just kind of unfortunate that I messed up my second attempt, but it is what it is. And then deadlift, so I was able to hit 330 kilos, which is something I've already hit in the past. It matched my previous best, but it put me in the position to get second on the day. I was competing directly against Russell Orhe and Angelo Fortino, and Russ was, way ahead of us, for the majority of the meet, so wasn't really going to be in the cards to try to compete directly against him or try to catch up. So it was really just me and Angelo fighting for second place. And, we just put on the bar exactly what we thought we needed to win. And it was exactly the right number. So we got second place at Nationals. And it really, I couldn't be happier with the result, right? We came into it knowing, kind of expecting what Russ was going to do. And we can only really do our best. And that's really what we did. Best meet I've ever had, 9 for 9. PR on the squat and PR match on the bench and the deadlift. So I'm super happy with it. I really loved it. I had a great experience. Probably my most fun meet to date, to be honest. I had the least amount of stress, least amount of worry going into it. I felt really good. My weight cut was easy. I just felt really genuinely good. I was having a fun time. Normally I'm stressing out, I'm freaking out, and I didn't feel like that at all. I just really enjoyed the moment. I was like taking it in the whole time, and so I'm honestly looking forward to competing again because I feel like I've kind of unlocked that mental thing that lets me just kind of relax and chill and have a good time. So I'm excited for the next meet. And so it leads me to my next topic. The next thing that I have going on is the SBD Raleigh meet. So I don't know exactly how to say that. I don't know if it's Raleigh or Raleigh. Doesn't really matter. I've heard that even people who live there don't know how to say it, so it is what it is. But that is my next meet. It's a meet that's run by SBD. So they are controlling the whole thing. The meet was essentially, or at least from what I'm aware, it started off as a meet for people who didn't qualify to go to Worlds. And so a lot of the second and third place people from Powerlifting America Nationals qualified to go right off the bat. And then they started to give out wild card slots for, other lifters who are probably close to the world record and who can be competitive at this meet. So we've had a lot of really good people be wild cards now. So Joe Bornstein, for example, Delaney Wallace, Dennis Cornelius. There's been a lot of people. Those are just off the top of my head, the first people I can think of. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really good meet. It's on July 27th. I'm super excited. I mean, I feel like this is going to be a really, really good high production meet. There's a cash prize. It seems like this is going to be a very, very professionally run meet. I'm not exactly sure what I'm able to share about the meet, but just kind of from what I've been told and from what I've been, what I've seen, it seems like it's going to be a really good meet. It seems like there's going to be a lot of cool stuff tied to it. So I'm super excited. I can't wait for the meet. And now to talk about just kind of the last topic, just kind of generally how training has been going, how things have been since the meet. I'm about 3 blocks into training since my competition. We had a 3-week block coming off of Nationals to try to line it up with meet day, since we were going to be competing I think it was like 19 weeks later or something. So to line it up with the 4-week blocks like we've been doing, which have been working for me, we need to have at least one 3-week block. So that first block was a 3-week block. Now it was a block of triples, a heavier block of triples, super successful. I mean, I was riding the fitness off of the meat, I think, because we had a kind of a shortened block. We didn't have that week 1. I didn't really deload much at all. We kind of started on week 2 loads, and I felt really good. And I actually hit PRs on squat and deadlift. So triple PRs, I hit 275 kilos, 606 pounds for my squat, which was a triple PR, and it moved super well. I mean, I had a couple more reps for sure. I benched 205 kilos, which is 2.5 under my all-time PR, which I've hit in the gym. I've hit 207 in the gym before. That was good as well. My arm had kind of been starting to hurt a little bit, so it was a little hard, but my bench always shows up really well on meet day. Like my strength just, I peak pretty well for it. And deadlift, I had pulled 310 kilos, 683 pounds. I've never even gotten close to pulling anything like that for reps. I think my best double was like 285 or something before this. Obviously not a max double, but I just in the past had never really pushed doubles or triples too hard, so I don't really know where my strength was. So ended up pulling 310, which was a huge win, more so because of the grip situation, not because of strength. Like I know that I could probably pull that strength-wise just based on what I can pull. But my grip is always something that's kind of a question mark, kind of in the air. I go through phases where it's better, and I go through phases where it's a little worse. It's been good for a long time now, but that was kind of my first concern, was that I was not going to be able to pull it just because of my grip. But it was awesome. Like I just pulled it, and it was tough, but it really wasn't as hard as I expected, and my grip held up. So that was honestly a super, super successful block, in my opinion. I was super happy with it. Now, the block that came after, not so great. Just kind of general life circumstances, just stress and recovery was completely off. I was, on good days sleeping 5-6 hours, which I normally get 7 to 8 pretty consistently. I'm pretty good about my sleep. So sleep was pretty bad for about that month. Just like that whole block was pretty bad. Lost a little bit of weight. My diet wasn't so great. I was like down a couple kilos. So just generally like a recipe for disaster. Like I'm surprised that I even PR'd my squat that block, but yeah, so I PR'd my squat. I hit a double, 280 kilos, 617 pounds for a double, and it moved super well. Like I'm honestly so surprised that it moved as well as it did, considering the recovery and just all the circumstances. Bench was not so great. I mean, I know that I felt strong on the day. I felt good for it, but my arm had started to hurt more and more. I've had this arm injury, I guess, for a while now. It's kind of like, it's a bicep, forearm thing, kind of radiates sometimes into my pec. But the main issue with that arm situation is that, yes, it's very painful, but I can usually push through the pain, but sometimes it gets painful enough and it kind of like shuts off on me a little bit. And I physically cannot push. Like it literally just like turns off on me. So that sometimes affects my top end singles. Everything else usually is fine. I can push through the pain, but when I get to like that 95, 98% range, like it just starts to hurt too much sometimes. So I hit my last warm up, which was like 197 kilos, and it moved fine. It moved well enough that like I thought I should have what I wanted to hit. I ended up failing it. In my opinion, 100% just based on like my arm was just like hurting so much. My arm was just like basically dead. So that's kind of what happened there. I still felt strong. I still felt good for it. At the end of the day, my deadlift, kind of similar situation. I was kind of like, I was getting to the end of the session and I was just kind of cooked for it. Like after the squat PR, which I think kind of just took it all out of me. Just, I just wasn't in a place to be PRing anything. And then with the arm hurting, I didn't even take my single. Like I just did my last warm up and loaded the bar for the last single, actually it was a double. Loaded the bar for it. I basically just tugged on the bar and I was like, nope, this is not going to come off the ground. I didn't even attempt to pull it because I just knew that like my back was kind of cooked. My arm was hurting. I was like, there's really no need to do this right now. I'm just going to leave it there. So yeah, in my opinion, like not the most successful block, but it was completely just circumstances, right? Like recovery was completely off. Probably some of the worst recovery I've had in a long time. And then my arm hurting. It was just like kind of a lot all on the same day. So yeah, I mean, just kind of just chalked it up as what it is. I mean, I still took a squat PR, so At this point where I'm at, if I can take a squat PR at the end of a block, I'm happy with that. So now leading into this past block, right? I'm on week 1 now, so I just finished up the past block. I talked about it a little bit on Instagram. I put like a 4-minute video just like talking about, you know, my general thoughts about the day and stuff. But I'm going to try to summarize it here as well. Essentially, it was another one of those days where like strength was very high and performance was in a place where I could have had a great day. And honestly, I didn't have a bad day. Like I hit everything that was within the range that I was supposed to hit, except for the squat. So I took the top end of the range for the squat. I took 287.5, which would have been a PR double. And I felt strong and confident for it. Like that first rep to me told me in the moment, I'm strong enough to do this. I know that I got it. Like I felt really good. And sometimes this tends to happen on squat, but when the weight gets really heavy, I know people are going to say, oh, you misgrooved it. Like you just weren't strong enough for it, which I agree. Like that is the case sometimes people tell me, oh, I misgrooved something and they just were not strong enough for it. Just that's the problem. I know that was not the problem. Like I felt it. I felt good. I didn't brace as well for my second rep, and when I got to the bottom, I just lost my positioning. I felt like I completely kind of fell forward, which is usually what happens when I miss a squat, and I just could not fight from that position. I felt extremely strong on the day to even have the confidence to take 287.5, which is 7.5 kilos under my all-time best that I've ever even put on my back. I mean, I know the strength is in a really good place. I think my squat strength is in a position to PR, you know, whenever I want to take that PR. So I was honestly, disappointed, obviously, because I missed a rep, and I know I never miss reps in training, but it is what it is, right? Still, overall, I think it was a good day overall, right? With the bench, my arm was hurting a lot, so it's been hurting. It was starting to hurt a little more, and this is probably the period of time with like the worst pain that I've had, like the Saturday of my SBD session, the week 4, and then like the following Monday, it was like the worst pain I've had in a long time for my arm. I ended up taking within the range, but the low end of the range. Marcellus and I had talked about pulling back a little bit on the bench just to try to give me a little more time to recover. Because we just kind of thought, or just found that like I probably can't push it quite as hard as I've been pushing it just because my arm's been hurting. So we put a much lower range than what I would normally take. I still took the bottom end because it was just hurting a lot, and I just wanted to hit. We just discussed it, and he was like, just take the below end of the range just so you're hitting the stimulus for the day, but don't try to force anything. And so that's what I did. It was completely fine. I mean, I moved fine. I mean, it was slow, obviously, considering like I know I can take that weight much faster, and I didn't really pause it very well, but I wasn't really concerned with that. I just wanted to like feel the weight in my hands, basically. So that was fine. I mean, obviously a little disappointed with that as well, but I know for a fact it's not a strength thing. I know my arm just hurts so bad that I just can't physically do it. So that's just something that I've kind of been working on within the last week. I've been really, really trying to dial in the rehab process for this, adding in some more drills and just warm-ups and trying to take care of it a little more to see if I can get it back into good shape. This has been happening for like the last year. It tends to hurt really bad, and then I'm able to get into a position where it hurts, you know, just little enough to where I can push and even PR sometimes. So that's kind of where I'm at now with bench. And then deadlift was fine. I took the right in the middle of the range. We had actually discussed going above it because I felt strong enough for it. But by the time I got to it, same thing as the previous block, I was a little bit cooked for it. My arm was hurting. Missing the squat, I think, kind of gassed me a little bit. And mentally, I was just like, hey, I don't want to miss this or have like a bad end of the session. So I just took right in the middle of the range, and it was fine. It moved easy. I came into it with like zero hype. I really just wanted to like hit it, execute it, be done with the day, and that was it. And so that's what I did. Now, I can feel like I'm starting to pick up momentum. I can feel that I'm definitely stronger, and like my peak, my absolute like potential is definitely a little higher right now. And I think it's just going to take a couple of good blocks to kind of realize that and like execute that. But I'm feeling pretty good. My arm is feeling a little better since I've been adding in those drills and stuff. So I'm pretty confident that things are going to go super well. Like I honestly think that this meet is going to be another PR meet for me. You know, however I'm going to do it, I think it's going to be a PR meet. And I think, and I know that like I have the strength and I have the potential to hit the numbers that I want to hit. Like it's very realistic stuff, but things that I know that I could put together on the day, as long as my arm kind of cooperates with me and I can have, you know, a couple of good blocks, like I know I'm good. So that's basically all I wanted to talk about. Those are just like the general updates for the last few months and what I have going on. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one. Peace.